So a couple of announcements, part of what I already did. Sangha meeting this Sunday. It's at my house. I think you all have the address. If you can arrive at 9:45 and be settled in at 10, that will give us plenty of time. There's an all-day sit, February 16th. And I think that's it. I'm just going to go around and name everybody's name. You can all just take a minute and just soak in each person's presence. Kat, Judith, Subhana, Susan Tholog, Beth, Lainey, Julia, Ellen, Patricia, Laura, Sherry, Valerie, Patty, Kathy, Heather, Mary, Kyle, Kenson, Anne, Susan Spencer and Barbara, Rachel and Myra, Constance, Chelsea. My goodness, we have 2 pages. Wow. Susan White, Joe, Sally, Ileani, Diane. I'd know that iPhone anywhere. Deborah, Juliet and Limon, and Sue Ann Crane. Did we do the Bodhisattva, the before lecture chant, or did I get distracted? We did do it. Okay. We're going to chant the Sandokai in a minute. Could you all hear, because I was messing with the sound, and when I encouraged you to, but could you hear when I sent you off to do Kinhin as a prayer?
Yes.
You could, good. Because I think that's our job. I think it's so easy when there is fear and distress to tighten into our separate selves and our karmic beings. And I think imagining ourselves and our lives as prayer, the Sandokai as prayer, as practice as prayer, as that we are just this person, just this little person. And we are so much bigger than we can imagine, and interconnected in ways beyond. We are powerful beyond what we can know, but not in the way we think. So with that frame, I'm going to offer to you that the Sandokai is a prayer. It's a prayer to remind us about what's true, what's really deeply true, and an invitation and an offering to keep coming back. Because when we come back, the whole world will come back. Or maybe it will just help us in that moment, or maybe it will help the person next to us, or in the grocery store line, or who knows? We have no idea. So this is what bodhisattvas do. This is our practice. So let's, you all are going to have to mute, but we'll do the harmony of difference and equality. And Gretchen's going to put it up on the screen. It's a prayer. Chant it like a prayer. Harmony of difference and equality. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately transmitted from west to east. While human faculties are sharp or dull, the way has no northern or southern ancestors. The spiritual source shines clear in the light. The branching streams flow on in the dark. Grasping at things is surely delusion. According with sameness is still not enlightenment. All the objects of the senses interact and yet do not. Interacting brings involvement, otherwise each keeps its place. Sights vary in quality and form. Sounds differ as pleasing or harsh. Refined and common speech come together in the dark. Clear and murky phrases are distinguished in the light. The four elements return to their natures, just as a child turns to its mother. Fire heats, wind moves, water wets, earth is solid, eye and sights, ear and sounds, nose and smells, tongue and tastes. Thus with each and everything, depending on these roots, the leaf spread forth. Trunk and branches share the essence, revered in common, each has its speech. In the light there is darkness, but do not take it as darkness. In the dark there is light, but do not see it as light. Light and dark oppose one another like the front and back foot in walking. Each of the myriad things has its merit expressed according to function and place. Phenomena exist, box and lid fit. Principle responds, arrow points meet. Hearing the words, understand the meaning. Do not set up standards on your own. If you do not understand the way right before you, how will you know the path as you walk? Progress is not a matter of far or near, but if you are confused, mountains and rivers block your way. I respectfully urge you who study the mystery, do not pass your days and nights in vain. Did you get it? You can't get it. If we keep trying to get life and manage it, we're just going to keep suffering. And we have to do something. That's what bodhisattvas do. So I am so happy that we are coming to the language in the Sandokai of in the light there is darkness, but don't take it as darkness. In the dark there is light, but don't see it as light. We're on talk number 8 in Suzuki Roshi's for anyone who may have just joined. Suzuki Roshi, branching streams flow in the darkness. Suzuki Roshi's the title that was given to this chapter is Within Light, There is Utter Darkness. You may have noticed that in the beginning of the Sandokai, the light was held forth as the absolute, as emptiness, and dark as the particular. And it's completely switched now. So just when you thought you might know what's going on, which of course I can't tell from your faces, but if you thought you were coursing along in, oh, enlightenment and the darkness of matter, it completely switches it. And now it tells you, so you don't get caught in any limited idea, the darkness is the absolute. And the light is what illuminates each particular thing. It's really disconcerting, isn't it? I hope you can feel a little bit of your mind flipping. I think that's what life is doing with us all the time. I thought I was going along and I thought I knew what was going on and I had my concepts and I knew sort of where I was and then all of a sudden it completely flips. And we don't know who we are or where we are or what's going on. And maybe in a conventional way, it can feel quite dark. I think it's wonderful that Zenju Earthling Manuel, who is a person of color, has been trying very hard to redeem darkness. And I can't imagine she's not referencing and talking about the Sandokai. Is we are so inclined to think we want the light and we don't want darkness. But darkness is its own rich, deep womb. Always, but particularly in hard times. I think well, we all have our own coping strategy. It's probably really important to know and to study. Now's a really good time to study what you do when you feel pushed against a wall. Often what spiritual people will do is will go for transcendence. I mean, it can sort of look a little bit like very, very close to dissociation, which is it's too hard just to stay here. So we'll look for something bigger, which is really, really lovely. It brings us to the path. It brings us to Zazen. It's probably why we're here, is there must be something to make sense out of all of this. But the beauty of Zen and the beauty of the Sandokai is it says it's just this. This is it. And this includes everything. It's a paradox. That everything is empty of any inherent self-existence. We are all interdependent in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. It's all about love. And this amazing love, emptiness, boundlessness manifests in the particular, in each person, each thing, each moment. And then our joyful job as bodhisattvas is how do we live it and how do we meet it? So we and life is the mystery of light and darkness. It's our actual life. Life and death and light and dark and space and time and reality. So it's not so esoteric, this light or dark. We're walking in and out and through and being light and darkness each moment. It's so close. It's all so close. So all the concepts, the ways we try to make sense out of the world, to ground ourselves, to feel like we have some sense of control and understanding that we know what's going on. If we look closely, we come to understand more and more and experience it's the basis of suffering and how we suffer. Really study if the suffering of this time in your own heart and body and mind. And then take the backward step into this alive body of Zazen body. The only way to know this life, to respond to this life, to care for this life, is embodiment. As long as we are in a body, our work and job is to dance with life. How to dance with the constantly shifting reality, the unknowable and paradoxical reality. Don't know mind. So we sit down in the middle of it. We align with breath. Dogen says about Zazen, you drop body and mind. Dropping body and mind is where the creative and the imaginative and the path is. So we learn to be more soft and flexible, to open our hand and let go when it's time to let go, to stand straight and tall when it's time to be just that. In the light, there is darkness, but don't take it as darkness. In the darkness, there is light, but don't take it as light. Suzuki Roshi says, darkness and light are the same thing, alive. But our lazy mind separates darkness from light. So we plunge into the light, we plunge into the dark, we find Buddha nature just here, just this. So I want to read you. I think there's really, it's a beautiful part of this chapter. I'm going to go to page 112. In the light, there is darkness. Nyuchu ni ate ni ari. He says the word ari, A-R-I, Japanese, is the actual meaning of the word. The actual meaning of ari is there is. There are two characters for there is in Japanese, ari and zai.
Hopefully it'll fix and she'll be back on. Uh, let's just wait a bit and see. Okay.
Nice to see you. I've been amazed the power hasn't gone out. I've been feeling very, very grateful to PG&E actually, which I say with great humility because I haven't always felt grateful. It's dark, dark, dark and light. Who knows? Okay, so I'm going to read you something from Suzuki Roshi. And then if I disappear again, you'll be able to go on. I'm on page 119. Truth is truth. There are not two truths, only one. When you understand truth only with your mind, you may feel that is truth. But compared to your actual activity or feeling or life, the truth that you understand with your mind is not the actual truth. I think that's part of what's so confusing right now. What's the truth? Who's got the truth? I think I have the truth. You think you have the truth. What's happening? There is only one truth. That's what bodhisattvas know. Because our actual life is not as easy as our thinking, it is easy to be convinced that some idea we have is the perfect truth. Yet for us, it is not true because that kind of thinking does not accord with our actual life, does not accord with life as a prayer, does not accord with living our life as a bodhisattva from one truth. So there are two ways of understanding the truth. One way is intellectual truth. We understand, we say, but that understanding is just an intellectual understanding. Whether we understand it or not, truth is truth. Whether Buddha appeared in this world or not, whether there were teachings, whatever tradition you call it, whatever side you're on, if you follow it all the way through, there's one truth. In the second way, something may be true for a Buddha or an enlightened person, but it is not, but for us, it is not true. We can only think, oh, those great people, they know something. Maybe they know how to do this. Maybe they've got this one truth down. If I was only a little smarter, I'd practiced a little harder, I was a little kinder, then I'd be able to live that. We cannot accept the fundamental truth as it is, so for us, it does not seem true. This is the truth that we work with in our practice. This is the truth of sitting down in Zazen. This is the truth of big don't know mind. This is the truth of in the light there is darkness, but don't take it as darkness. In the darkness there is light. Sure, I get it right. But don't take it as light. Suzuki Roshi says, to stress some concept is not our way. We put more emphasis on our actual life, and that is why we must practice. That all of us have Buddha nature is true, whether Buddha said it or not. That is living life as a prayer. It's that there is something bigger and deeper and wider and ephemeral. It's just the truth. But unfortunately, most of us do not realize we have Buddha nature, that everything is Buddha nature. I don't know why. Our lazy mind separates darkness from light. To plunge into the light, to find darkness in light, to find Buddha nature in perfect Zazen, in living Zazen body is our way. Whether you think you're a good student or a bad student, whatever you think, just practice. That is the only way to have darkness in your bright dualistic. That is the only way to have darkness in your bright dualistic practice. So what does it mean that everything has Buddha nature? Everything is Buddha nature. And what is it to live it in a time where clearly we do not want to do transcendent practice? Everything's fine. Everything on a fundamental level is fine. And everything is really not fine. Bodhisattva life, to be truly, I mean, I sort of hate to say it because goal-oriented thinking isn't it, but to be truly effective, bodhisattvas, this is the ground we cultivate so that we can be responsive and creative and imaginative, and so that our life more and more is a prayer manifest for ourselves and for all beings. And I think that's the great opportunity of difficult times, is always before we could sort of slide along. The whole world needs us to practice, to be practice, to be prayer, and to live it moment after moment. Knowing when we're being caught and triggered in concepts, or even maybe manipulated into concepts, although nobody can do that to us, but to just keep coming back. Suzuki Roshi said, he would always say the most important thing is. That's our practice. What is the most important thing moment after moment? What is this living by prayer? What is this Buddha nature that everything is, that we intuitively know is true, but to live it in this very upside down, beautiful, shifting, changing, dark, light world? So we got a little bit of time. Why don't I put you in small groups? I think I can figure out how to do that. Yeah, there we go. So what does it mean to you? What is Buddha nature? What is it to live as prayer? What is it to be a bodhisattva without turning it into something? How are you practicing in these times, dear bodhisattva? Okay. And you can pick up any